podcast.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
podcast.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. I'm Tiago D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil.
Jesus.
You old geezer.
And I'm Neil Carson.
Jesus.
Well, you screwed that up, didn't you?
I did. I don't know where that came from.
It came from the cigarettes that you inhaled
I
into your
changed my
lungs.
coffee. I did have a cigarette.
Holy
actually.
cow,
I
this
changed
guy.
it.
I changed my coffee.
You came in here in a plume of smoke. You smoked a cigarette.
Oh man.
All right, well, Nick, we got a sponsor.
We do. Isn't that crazy?
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
We're legit now.
That just says people are listening.
Straight legit.
Yeah, like straight legit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, today's episode is brought to you by Audible. We've all heard of Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/get to the podcast.
I'm down.
We literally we got get to the podcast tagged on the end of that. That feels legit.
It does.
Yeah.
I should start wearing a tie
You should.
for our audio podcast.
Yeah, so it's 30-day free trial, and you get a free
That's pretty
audiobook.
good,
Yeah,
30
you
days.
could select from over 180,000 titles.
Ooh, Disney books.
And you get a free book, 30-day free trial. If you don't want it at the end of that, you don't need to, re-up or whatever. But,
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, just have to use our URL, which is audibletrial.com/get to the podcast. That's get to the podcast with the number 2. Just use that, go through that URL, and sign up for your 30-day free trial, and help us, help you, help Audible. It's a
What the?
it's a help trifecta. It's a help trifecta.
Which then helps us.
We went from
Ultimately, it comes back to us.
Exactly.
from getting a sponsor to like helping save the world.
Yeah.
That's what we do here, man.
That's what we do.
All right, so today, welcome to the Face Off again.
The face off.
There you go.
The face off.
Stanley Kubrick versus Christopher Nolan.
Oh snap! You're just gonna throw it in
Oh,
there.
I
right?
thought we were talking about that movie with John Travolta.
Oh, John Travolta and Nicolas
Nick
Cage.
Cage.
The
Yeah.
John Woo film. We should do John Woo versus. Who the hell would you do John Woo
I don't know.
versus?
Oh yeah. John Woo's got some great early films.
He does. He
Target.
does.
Target. Remember Target with John Claude
Hard
Van Damme?
Target.
Hard
Hard
Target.
Target.
I
yeah.
saw. Oh man, Hard
I love
Target.
that
I don't
film.
know.
Dude, there's slow motion every 30 seconds of that film. I saw that film in theaters. I was like 8 years old, and even at 8 years old, I turned to my dad. I was like, "There's a lot of slow motion in this film, isn't it?" Every 30 seconds, there's slow motion. He shoots somebody, slow motion. He jump kicks somebody, slow motion. He steps out of the car, slow motion. He turns.
He
slow
was so
motion.
fast that the audience couldn't
He
catch
looks
him.
right
That's-
to left.
that's the Van
slow
Damme
motion.
for you.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. It's crazy.
You saw what he's done lately? He's done that green screen videos on YouTube. Where
No.
it's just him doing green screen, and you can use it for anything.
I love JCVD.
It's
Yeah.
that was great.
That was a
That
great
movie's
movie.
great.
That movie's
I
great.
meant the guy, but yes, JCVD
Oh, yeah,
is
I'm-
actually
I'm-
a great
I'm
film.
talking
Oh,
about-
Van Damme was my ish.
Yeah.
He was my
I
ish.
think Stallone
He's no
was my
Steven
ish.
Seagal.
He
but
is. Oh, that's what we're doing next time. We're doing Van Damme versus Steven Seagal. Mark my words.
no contest.
Marked for death.
No contest.
No contest. You take Seagal with his limited range of motion, and I'll take JCVD, who still looks like he can kick some ass.
He does.
All right.
He does.
So Stanley Kubrick versus Christopher Nolan. Whew.
Who's the better director?
Who's?
Oh man, it's obvious.
that is such a hard
oh,
statement,
really?
Nick.
See, I think everybody, all the brainwashed public would automatically go, "Oh, it's Kubrick. Obviously, he's the better director," and I call bullshit on that.
Oh, this.
I want to know why. Not that he was like he did things innovative and that's totally
literally
fine.
why.
That's not no, that's not fair enough. That is not a good enough
Well-
reason why. Who made better films?
I mean, I would say, that's a hard question. I mean, are we talking about who's the better director?
Yes.
But who made better films? Both
Well,
of them
none
have
of
made
it-
fantastic films.
Yes,
like
but
I love
that's
all
the product
of
of
their
a director.
films.
You can't sit there unless we've been on set with both of them. We can't say, "Oh, this one directs better than that one." As like an on-set personality or whatever, or on-set leader. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the films that they made.
Right.
Which ones were better product of direction? And here's what I want to say. Okay.
Yeah.
Me and you have discussed this before. 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is widely considered like the greatest film of all time.
All right, I don't know.
By
if it's
widely, I mean
con-
wrongly considered the
I don't
greatest
know.
film
This
of all
guy
time.
is shutting shit down.
Maybe one of the greatest science
No,
fiction
so,
films of all
yeah,
time.
But it's been discussed as like this is one of the greatest movies
It
ever.
is. I don't think it is. I think it's
'Cause it's not.
I think Stanley Kubrick has so many legendary films that people can still watch today and it stands ground.
So does Nolan. The only thing
Nolan-
people are
yeah,
like,
Nolan
oh,
does too.
He's only been around for about 15 years or so they're not giving him his just due. And I go,
Kubrick doesn't have like that many films.
That's what
under
I'm
his
saying.
belt.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
And his films, while they are all very good and they are different and weird and they do things that nobody else does, that's great. Like he did Passive Glory with Kirk Douglas, a war film. He did 2001: Space Odyssey. I'm jumping through here. He did Clockwork Orange. He did
The Shining.
The Shining. He did Full
Full
Metal
Metal
Jacket.
The Killing.
Yeah, he the last one he was doing was Eyes Wide Shut. And while these aren't
Doctor Strangelove,
Doctor Strangelove or
Lolita,
that's right, he did the original
Did you-
Lolita.
yeah.
That's right.
the
I
original
forgot about
Lolita,
that.
1962.
I
yeah.
know exactly
Spartacus?
what that is.
Was that
Spartacus?
the original though, or was that a remake?
No, that was the original.
Okay.
It may have been a remake of a French film, I want to say.
Yeah,
I want to say that. Yeah, they remade it later on with Jeremy Irons, though, in the 90s.
I remember.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
God, he really has not done a lot of films, but his
No, he
films are so
hasn't.
memorable that I'm like. I
Yeah,
think
then you
he's
look at
made
his
all
writing,
films.
but you look at his writing credits. I mean, he wrote Eyes Wide Shut, Full Metal Jacket, The Shining,
Yeah.
A Clockwork. I mean, that just
He
shows
wrote
yeah.
and directed his films.
Yeah,
and that's
it's just-
totally fine. Here's what I want to say. When you watch his films, they don't feel like a full meal. No, they don't. They absolutely
But that was
goddamn
intentional.
Yes, but I don't want you. So if I go to a restaurant and I order a hamburger deluxe,
What is
it
that?
comes with 2 fries. They're like, no ketchup, sir, but you can have the burger. The burger's gonna be cooked
and you're gonna
very
spend
well.
the rest of your life wondering
why.
why.
Was that actually beef or not?
Yeah, and
No,
and
I
you're
don't
gonna
want
and you're
that.
gonna eventually solve the mystery. He's
2000 okay.
engaging the audience.
Are you
The
trying to
audience
pull
are
a
not-
Lost?
No,
Yeah.
here's the thing.
In this?
2001: Space
Stanley
Odyssey.
Kubrick was able to like get the audience to engage in the story versus just being a spectator. And I feel like most directors, you watch the film as a spectator and you walk away and you have all the questions answered and life is all right. And Stanley Kubrick was like, no, like you need to question all these things that I just showed you. And you're going to walk out of there like wondering and like still thinking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks trying
Yeah.
to understand what you just saw.
And that's fine, and that has its place.
It's kind of like
okay?
the movie doesn't end when the movie ends.
Yeah,
you
okay.
take it with you. And
Christopher Nolan did that too. Inception.
Yeah.
You know, The
that's what I'm
Prestige,
saying. That's
even,
why-
which is
yeah.
about magicians. The
Yeah.
Prestige does that.
He
It
does
fucks with your
that,
head.
yeah.
Like, he does the same thing, and this is why we're doing Kubrick versus Nolan, because they both get psychological.
Right.
They both get in your head about it. 2001: A Space Odyssey, like I said, is widely considered one of the greatest films of all time. And while I can agree visually that's a very good film, and while I can agree it kind of goes out there and it's kind
it
of
was
wide,
like a breakthrough when
it's
it
a
came
breakthrough.
out.
Like visually, that movie still like I
It still
watched,
holds up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that movie was created in 1968, and you watch it today and you're like, this movie looks incredible. Specifically, the space scenes, anything in space.
Oh, it
looks,
set standards for like how you see space when people are not shooting, but visually showing
Yeah.
the space. the
and
vast
movies are
open
still
space, yeah.
basically doing what that film
Exactly,
is. Like
yeah.
Interstellar, even Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, a lot of that visually borrows from 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
It was
he's
very much
borrowing from
inspired.
Kubrick.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah,
inspired by that.
Kubrick.
Yeah, I get
Lent
what
it
you're
to him.
saying. Yeah, hey,
He said,
lent it
"Here."
to him.
Did you know
Here,
Stanley
use this.
Kubrick had all
It'll
the
make your film
props
better.
and everything destroyed from after they finished filming 2001: A Space Odyssey? He had everything destroyed so that when they made the sequel, 2010, the year we
Oh,
made Contact,
yeah.
like they had nothing to base. They had to recreate everything from scratch.
Wow.
Like I don't know. He
Here-
was
but
such an
me finish
interesting
saying what
guy.
I'm, yeah, but let me finish saying what I'm saying about this film real quick. 2001: A Space Odyssey. While it looks visually stunning, while it has really interesting concepts in it, it's terribly executed story. It doesn't give you a beginning, middle, and end that really, like, by the end of it, you feel more confused than understanding. And you can say, like, it's deep concept, it's art. This is like these fucking people who go to, like, art galleries and look at these fucking things. Like, it makes me feel like my penis could grow 3
Not
sizes if I
confused.
like.
What
but
you're saying is
questioning.
Stanley Kubrick finally made a live action motion picture that people now equate
Question.
to artwork.
Yeah, it's an
And,
art.
like-
Yes, and I'm not saying
And
An art
question
gallery.
the arts to
The
try to
first-
find their own interpretation.
Now, I'm not saying
of
this
it.
is. I'm not
Yeah.
saying
I
this,
understand
This
you,
is
Nick.
now
What
that-
musicians have been doing for thousands of years.
I understand
So
what you're saying. That's what I'm
You
saying.
took
I'm not,
a medium
I'm not saying it's
and
a terrible
raised,
film.
raised the
No,
bar.
but you wanna
is
say
what you're
it's-
saying, and you're shitting on it. Okay.
Okay, but let's say.
All right.
I have a question. I don't have a question. I have a fucking statement. So, first 25 minutes of the film, there's no dialogue. Totally fine. I'm not big on the ape scenes in the first 20 minutes. I don't think they're fantastic. It's basically guys in
What do you mean big
suits.
on it? It's like a.
I know it doesn't look great, but that's fine.
story-wise,
That's fine.
it
It's
makes sense. You have the
1968.
monolith, and
No,
the
no, no, no,
monolith
story-wise,
everywhere the monolith shows up. That's like where.
Yeah, I wish you would.
there's a
I wish you would just
leap
shut
forward
up
in
just so I can
evolution.
get my full thought out.
All right.
I wish that if I had 3 wishes
It's
right now,
really, it
the
actually
first
is a
2
super,
would be for you to shut up.
It's a super impressive scene. Like technically, and you
Oh,
know,
definitely not technically. That's
Technically,
bullshit.
it's
That is
very
bullshit.
impressive.
It
For
looks
the
like
year
looks
it
like,
was made
For the
technically.
year it
yes.
was
Oh,
made.
interesting.
Yes.
1968.
Yes.
Interesting that you say that for the year it was made. Anyways,
That
let me
scene.
say
I'm
something.
talking about that scene.
I know. What I'm saying is,
He's so fucking
I
sneaky,
don't
man.
love.
He's got like shit in his pocket or
I
something.
don't.
Ooh, I know what you're going with.
I
this.
don't love the ape scenes. Okay, it's mainly because I don't think the ape costumes look very convincing. There's just very. It looks very much like guys in gorilla suits. I don't think it looks great.
I
don't
think that
I
was
don't-
the point of it.
That wasn't the point of it.
I think
at
it
all.
was point of the human transition.
Yeah, primates. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't think it looked good. I think they look like costumes. That's fine. It's 1968. I usually forgive stuff like that. That's totally fine. 25 minutes until you first hear the first word of the film. Again, okay, fine. I can have that. The film jumps different storylines. You know what I mean? You have the thing on the ship with Hal, which is the supercomputer thing that's basically evil. Well, it's not really evil. It's just
The AI, yeah.
the AI. It's not evil particularly, but it's a little bit like holds grudges. So you have Hal. You have.
It's not evil. It just doesn't like you.
I don't like. You know what? It's after the Hal scene that I really kind of like. You know what? No,
Dave.
that cool. The Hal scene's the best part of that movie, Dave. Da-da-da-da. Like that whole like vindictive. Even fucking Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter. The way in which he talked was based off Hal.
By the way,
From,
that house where the dolphins can come in, that's badass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
just
a lot of
badass.
cool stuff in that movie. I don't like after the Hal scene where he's going through space and he's got the weird face contortions and the lights and shit like that, and then he ends up in the fucking room, and then he's looking at himself in the bed, and then he's in the bed, and then he's looking at the model, and then he's the celestial baby. I'm just like, God. Star Child, yeah. I'm like,
Celestial
I
baby,
get
that
it,
was-
I get it, but like, fucking, I got it, but I don't feel like.
Did you get it though?
I did. I got
Did
it.
you? I feel like.
I didn't love it though. I didn't love it. I just like it didn't feel. It felt like it was
Well,
being too
I didn't love it
artsy.
either. I didn't love it either. I was like,
Oh.
Well, I was like, what the hell did I
Wait,
just watch?
What did you say, Neil? What did you just
All right.
say?
It was
Hold
explaining.
on. When I watched Jurassic Park, I walked out of that movie and I was like, I love the shit out of
Which
this
movie would you rather watch? Jurassic Park?
I would rather
or
watch
just-
Jurassic Park.
Okay.
But Stanley
Okay.
Kubrick made a film that I'm probably
There's
going to think
more than
about
just-
for the rest of my life.
That's
Like,
not
I
what
don't- I won't necessarily think about Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? Jurassic Park.
You won't think of Jurassic Park for
It's
the rest
totally-
of your life?
it's
You're
totally
still-
two different
You're still
things.
talking
Oh,
about it
oh,
24
No,
years later.
it's totally two different things because Jurassic Park is an entertaining
This is
film.
my point. This is my
and
point.
2001 Odyssey
This is my
This is
is
point.
why
an
we're having
experience
this-
and a learning.
Movies need to
It's
fire
like-
on all cylinders. They need to cover
They don't.
story.
No, they don't.
Hold on. They don't need to, but to be considered the best film, if you don't have every angle of it mastered,
I don't
if
know
you
where
don't
this
have
best film thing came
I wish
from.
you would just. I wish you would just let me
I
get
need to
one
see
fucking
evidence
full
of
sentence
this.
out.
Evidence.
One full sentence. That's all I ask.
But I need-
Please.
I need
I'm
to see
begging you
evidence
from the
of this
bottom of
best
my
film.
heart, from the top of my
guy.
head.
All right, Nick.
tip of my
Nick,
penis.
You have
You
2
let me-
minutes. You have 2 minutes to explain your.
You haven't given me any minutes. You
Nick,
cut me off on every turn.
First of all, I am looking at the timeline here, and I'm seeing the audio, and I see Nick. Okay,
Do you
So,
do you see the
here's what we're gonna
spikes
do.
in you guys cutting me off after every sentence? Can you
no,
see that in the audio
it's not.
waveform?
Literally,
I'm
I'm gonna take a picture. This picture goes on our social media. This image goes on our social media. So everybody's gonna get 2 minutes to explain it. So you go first because you were going into it. So that means you can lead on with what
Okay.
you were saying, and then Neil will go.
Okay, fine. I feel like I can't talk unless I have somebody arguing with me. So you're gonna have to jump in.
I
No,
was
I'm just
gonna wait
kidding.
until you
now you want us to jump in?
I was going to wait until you started and then immediately cut
I know.
you off.
Okay.
That was what I was planning to
Well,
do.
now you've just
All right.
shown your cards.
I kind of
so.
did it, so.
Kind of.
Yeah.
All right. So here, let me explain. Let me explain something to you. So, 2001: A Space Odyssey is just an example. Full Metal Jacket's another one. I love Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
I actually think that's one of my favorite Kubrick films. I love 2001: Space Odyssey. Clockwork Orange is fantastic. Even his earlier ones, Passive Glory and everything, all great films. Full Metal Jacket's really good. Vincent D'Onofrio, a young Vincent D'Onofrio, is great in that film. Full Metal Jacket. It's great. Matthew Modine's in it. Great film. All right. It kind of does not a similar thing to 2001: Space Odyssey, but it's this thing where he's not beginning, middle, and ending it, which can be okay. But these indie films you see sometimes, what's that movie, Rampant, with Woody Harrelson, where they never really tie it up. They never finish it. There's never like a completion.
Right, like there's a loose ending.
Yeah,
Cloud
and
Atlas.
it's not. No, it's not, and it's not like Inception where it's sort of like you kind of are left guessing. It's not like that. They literally don't feed you the full fucking meal. I ordered an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, and you took away my meal in the middle of the
There's a lot
entree.
of food references going on.
I'm
there.
just trying to get. It's not a
hungry?
full meal. It's not like I didn't feel like satisfied, and I want to feel satisfied.
Oh no. But see, that's my whole point. That's why I love Kubrick, is because you feel unsatisfied. Like there's
that's bananas to me.
Well, but like-
That's what you love about
I
it.
understand
because
where he's
all of his
going
films.
with
I
it.
mean, look at 2001 is
You
about
like to be able
the-
to interpret it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, look at 2001. It's like the beginning. He's literally showing the evolution of man by this mysterious, godlike monolith that shows up at all these pivotal moments in man's evolution
Yes.
to like spearhead man into like the next level.
Right.
And then you have, film like Full Metal Jacket, which is like goes into the indoctrination of like, soldiers in the military and like, young kids coming in and then becoming like these hardened warriors or whatever.
Right.
And then you have a film like, like The Shining, which is kind of like this man's like dwindling thing into descent. With all, where you have like this child's like a psychic and, all this like stuff going on. But he's like making you question. He takes up all these really interesting topics that I think most directors who make films just want to entertain people, and they don't necessarily get into these other, these other realms, these other types of things to take up. Like even Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange is about these like this crazy gang going around like straight up murdering and like raping and killing, and the society is like, okay, we're gonna take these people and then put them under control and put this like electroshock thing on him. Anytime this guy has like a stimulus to rape, like we're gonna give him a zap. And it was this whole thing about controlling behavior, and it was like other directors like what name another film like Clockwork Orange. It's like comparable to like the concept that he's trying to communicate.
Right.
And it's like that's why I like Kubrick, because he took these like
They are all
serious-ish
based off books, by the way.
topics, and
They're almost all based off books.
But that's his whole thing, like,
which
he
is totally
takes,
fine.
And he puts it on film, and it
So there's so many-
They weren't
startles the
necessarily
audience.
all his brainchild. Like there's one thing to be like
But he didn't make a lot of films. He made like 8 or 9 films
60,
or something.
Yeah,
He
like
didn't.
14 films. Yeah, he didn't, and that's interesting.
I mean, of
too.
the films that people remember.
Did he have enough stories to tell? I don't know. Like, and that's another point.
And
He
Dr.
did make a lot of
Strangelove is
films.
like,
yeah, but he didn't make a lot of films. A lot of them were based off books, which is okay. That's totally fine, and they are really good films. I'm not even shitting on the guy. I'm just
I feel like
we haven't talked about
You
Nolan
use shitty
yet.
words.
No,
You used shitty words in the beginning. You were for 2001.
I never said it was
Odyssey.
shitty. I never said shitty. I like 2001: A Space Odyssey a lot. I just don't agree when people
you
say
didn't
it's the greatest
shitty,
film
you
of
said
all
shitty
time.
words on 2001 Odyssey. You're bringing it down.
Okay,
I mean-
no, because I just don't think it deserves a title that people tend to throw on it.
I think
don't
it's a
that-
timeless film. I don't
I
think
agree
it's the
with that.
greatest film of all time.
No,
but it
that-
would definitely
that's my
be in like
argument.
the
That's why I
top
hear this a
5
lot.
greatest
I don't
science
think it's
fiction
top-
films.
Top 5. Okay, fine.
It is
Give
like literally
So-
the standard
Yes,
for
fine.
Not
most.
even putting it
Fine,
in top
put it in the
5.
top 5 science fiction films, but
Not
like,
even putting it in top 5. Not
I
even,
wouldn't even put it in my top
put
50
it in
movies.
ranking. I
Wouldn't
think
even put it in
Stanley
my top 50
Kubrick
movies.
had everybody
I mean, it
has a
wouldn't be in my
different ways to
personal
tell
top 5,
stories.
but, like,
Christopher
worldwide.
Nolan has an incredible way to tell stories, which is very intellectual. I think Stanley Kubrick also has that, and that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
But I think Stanley Kubrick, the questions that you have you never let go from those films. You're kind of ending the film yourself in your head. He did that very well, and that's what some directors try to do, is try to allow people to finish the films themselves.
Right.
Kind of like Inception, what happened with that
But
time spin and stuff.
so-
And Stanley Kubrick used that not only in the end of his films, throughout the films, you were left with so many questions that you're filling your head up with these scenarios for the films that he did, and it's incredible. It's an
So-
ongoing experience, and I think, to me, that's why I think Stanley Kubrick stands out to me more than Christopher Nolan. But I am not putting Christopher Nolan down, even though you guys hate me for not really liking Inception.
Right.
But,
So Christopher Nolan does the same thing, or he does it differently, okay? He does it in a way that's more palatable, and he does make you feel like you've gotten a full movie. Like, it doesn't even feel incomplete. But
Well-
at the same time, he gets you to question shit. He gets psychological. Inception is a master class in taking a complicated psychological subject and making it palatable, but at the same time, not too palatable.
Yeah.
And
in
not,
Inception,
not,
he
didn't dumb it
explains
down.
everything.
Inception, but
He literally, there are
doesn't
no
dumb it down.
questions at the end of
No,
Inception.
he puts an Ellen Page character like that in there so that you can get it explained to you. If Stanley Kubrick did that film, he would take out about 10 scenes from that movie. He would get rid of the Ellen Page character, and he would end it in the middle of the dream.
Yeah, he would like
In the middle of the mission at the end of that movie, he would end the film all of a sudden and roll the credits, and you'd be like,
What
Did you
the
run
fuck?
out of money? What the fuck happened, Stan?
No,
you run out of money.
He would make you question whether life, as you were watching the film, was Inception. Like you were in an Inception.
Were you in a
session.
dream or were you
Well,
just dead?
He would make you question like your own reality. That's what Stanley Kubrick would do. Like that. That's what I like about Stanley Kubrick. Like if he directed Inception, you would walk out of
had
that
to-
theater going, "Am I in an Inception?" You know,
Which
am I-
movie would you rather watch? Which movie, Neil? Yes,
Yeah?
you're smiling because you know you're caught. Which
I'm
movie
not
would you
caught.
rather watch? 2001: A Space Odyssey or
Yeah.
Interstellar? Just answer it honestly, not for the argument's sake. Honestly, just answer that. Which one would you rather watch? 2001: A Space
That's
Odyssey
a hard
or Interstellar?
question. It's not even
Yeah,
like
you
I
know-
can- you
Which
can't.
one?
I can't answer.
No,
that.
Neil's got an answer. Go ahead.
Do I have an answer?
Dude, does
Answer that.
I
Which
don't
one
know.
would you
I'm
rather
thinking,
watch?
like, to be honest with you, it's hard. It's hard to. I look at Interstellar, which I love, but Interstellar is it's a more modern film, and I love the music. I love Hans Zimmer, who does the music for
Yeah.
many of Christopher Nolan's films. I love the twist. All of those. There's things about Interstellar I love, and I can definitely watch that movie over and over again. But there's things about 2001 that I really enjoy.
Right. But which one would you rather watch?
It's a hard question. It's
By myself or with
Yeah,
a group of
but
people?
Either one. I don't care.
Is it a Saturday or a Sunday?
that's the
No,
question.
which one would you rather watch?
That's literally the
Honestly.
question.
Which
Did
one
I-
would you-
what did I eat
which
for
one have you
dinner?
seen-
What
which
did
one
I
have you
eat for
seen more?
dinner?
Which one have you seen more?
Did I eat like Mexican food or
Neil,
I ate Italian
which,
food?
Which one have you seen more? Which one have you viewed more?
You're on a diet.
Which one have I seen more?
Yeah.
Probably Interstellar.
Oh, and that movie came out, what, 2-3 years ago? It came out 3 years ago, and the other one came out in 1968, but you've watched Interstellar
But still, that's
more.
like saying maybe he's run his
No.
ground on.
No, I know he
2000
loves Interstellar, that's why. So
I know
he
you're trying. I knew there was a plot to
Okay.
your lawyer-ish
Here's what I'm
movement.
saying. Here's what I'm saying is Christopher Nolan looks at a movie and he goes, there are so many factors that need to be in this film. You need to have everything at the highest quality you can do. You need to have story, dialogue, acting, direction, cinematography, music, sound. Everything needs to be firing on all cylinders. Stanley Kubrick doesn't do that. He's like, I need to make this a psychological fuckfest, and I need to basically.
See, look at this guy.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so
and
here's
everything's
the-
filtered through
this
that.
guy.
Everything's filtered through
Christopher
that.
Nolan
That's not true.
said,
It
"This
is
is my."
true. Name one movie that's not like that.
No, it's almost like saying
Kubrick. Kubrick
Christopher
doesn't
Nolan,
handle everything. He's not interested in. He's not interesting in actually. He's like, I want to make this for a niche public.
Eyes
I want to
Wide
make
Shut.
this.
No,
Eyes Wide Shut's
Christopher
a
Nolan
it's a
says this.
fucking weird ass film, but he literally says, I want to package this for certain people who want to think more, and I get that, and I think that's
Stanley
cool.
Kubrick was.
I think that's really cool.
he
that's
was like an
totally not-
actual
no.
genius, right? Like his
Christopher
IQ
Nolan.
is like,
Christopher
like
Nolan
off the
writes
charts
his
or
I would
something.
wonder what
writes his
Christopher Nolan's
films
IQ
and
is.
says, "Here's my film for you."
It's probably lower. Than
That's what
Stanley
Christopher
Kubrick.
Nolan does. Here's my film for you.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick says, "Here's my film, but you answered these questions how you wanted them answered." So it's totally two different ways of writing.
I think some
That's
directors.
the whole thing with Chris. That's the whole thing. I'm sorry. That's the whole thing with Stanley Kubrick. He wants people to also answer things themselves, and that's different than Christopher Nolan, because Christopher Nolan hands you something to watch, which is already developed, and Stanley Kubrick hands you something to allow for you to develop it how you want it.
AKA an incomplete film.
No,
Not
yeah,
an incomplete film. No, it's not. It's a journey.
Yeah.
That's totally different than an
there's-
incomplete film. Because
there-
there's incomplete films that I've watched.
But which
It's like,
would you
what-
rather watch? A Christopher Nolan film or a Stanley Kubrick film?
You're
keep-
asking
you-
me because that's totally, to me, it's
I'm
totally
asking
on
the only two
how I
people
feel.
in this room. We can
Well,
take
yeah, I
phone
know.
calls. Can we
that
go?
doesn't
Can we go to the phone
determine who
lines?
the better director is.
No, it's
Like-
just the point of
Diego, man,
it's an emotional thing. How do I feel? Like Inception. Would I watch Inception again, even though I don't like the film? I would, because I respect it. I think it's a great film. Would I watch 2001 Odyssey? Yes, when I want to ask questions. When I want, it's totally two different.
He's already almost done as many films as Stanley Kubrick in the last 15 to 20 years.
He hasn't done The Shining.
No, he hasn't. But he's now doing a war film, which, Kubrick did a war film. He did Dark Knight, which has those elements of Clockwork Orange in it. So absolutely, I know he's inspired by Kubrick.
Yeah.
And would Nolan be here without Kubrick? I think he
Oh, so
would.
he's an apprentice. Okay.
No, he's not an apprentice. Come on, but I think I think he would have come into his own without Kubrick. But a lot of his stuff is inspired. Like
I don't
the
think so.
Joker from The Dark Knight absolutely borrows from Malcolm McDowell's character in Clockwork Orange. I think even Heath Ledger said that was
I don't think so.
inspired by that character.
I disagree with your statement that he would have come into his own without Kubrick.
You
You know-
really
you
think
know,
that? You
I
really believe
think
that
so.
this fucking genius of a director wouldn't have?
Because
I don't know.
everybody's
He might be
inspired by
right.
something. Because so he was, and
he
that
could have
that's
grown
not-
up watching these films and was like, one day I'm going to make a great.
I want to use
But
these
you think
elements.
without
Sci-fi
that,
epic.
this guy
I-
wouldn't have been?
I think he could have been a totally
might be
different
different.
director.
I'm just saying take Kubrick out of the fucking. I'm not
I
saying
think-
all these
no.
other directors aren't there. I'm just saying take Kubrick out. You think he couldn't have gotten
If you take
psychological?
Kubrick out, you're taking a lot of the elements that Christopher Nolan has.
You know what's interesting? Like there was a point you made
May
earlier,
have found
Diego,
himself.
about there's this like hand holding that goes on for some directors. Like they want to appease the audience. They want the audience to be entertained at the end of the film or during the entire process of the film. It's like they make a film, then they go in, and the director will sometimes sit with the live audience to see their reaction, and then alter the film based on how the audience reacts, which makes sense because you're making
Right.
a piece of entertainment to entertain, right? Stanley Kubrick was like, I don't give a fuck how fuck people react. Like, I'm gonna make this film, and I want people to question things. I don't care if they're necessarily entertained. But he's like, he basically gave the audience more credit than I think most directors do.
Right.
Yeah.
Most directors are like common denominator. This is a financial institution. We're trying to make money.
Right.
And Stanley Kubrick is like, whether it makes money or not, like I don't care. Like even 2001: A Space Odyssey, I feel like a lot of Kubrick's films initially when they came out were
Weren't
flops.
successful, right.
Were not successful. And then it was like this cult following
Yeah.
years later, and it kind of resurfaced. Like 2001 became this like, I remember watching some documentary where they're talking about people would like, it became this like, people would do drugs and go watch 2001: A Space
That's how it got
Odyssey. Like,
popular.
that's how it became popular.
Yeah, they would do LSD, and then they would go in that specific scene I was talking about that I
Yeah.
don't like, where he's going through space and all the different colors and kaleidoscope kind of things going on, and he's got all those face contortions. People would do LSD and watch that scene and would trip balls.
Yeah, and
so
to-
the movie's literally based off an acid trip.
No, but like there's
Sounds
something
great.
to be said about a director that can make his film and not be restricted by what the audience is going to think or what the producers are going to think or what the studio thinks or what, other people think. Like he's like, this is what I wanted to communicate and this
And-
is what I'm communicating. And most, like you have to agree
And
with
it's
me,
a selfish
most
way of
directors.
directing.
It's
It's
my
not.
gosh, it's not
What?
because he's sharing the
Most-
experience. He's
Yeah.
allowing people to end it themselves. He's allowing people to create their answers to the questions themselves. It's not about his ending. It's not about his development of the film. It's about your development for the film as a
So
watcher.
it's a different style.
It's a different style.
And I do really like Kubrick's films. I want that to
It's
be
like
very
David
clear.
Lynch. Like David Lynch just makes what he wants to
Yes,
make.
but
and
here's
he
what I'm
doesn't
saying.
Appease anybody.
I consider myself a thinker. Like I do think. I try to interpret things. Yeah, no, man.
If
Yeah,
you only
I got
had a
the good
brain.
intelligence. So here's what I'm saying though. I would rather watch movies like Memento, The Prestige, Inception, The Dark Knight. I would rather watch these Interstellar, the new movie Dunkirk's probably gonna be fantastic. I would rather watch these films than almost any Kubrick film.
So what's interesting about that is
that's the truth. Like
what's funny is you had mentioned Prestige, and I love that movie, but like I watched it and I loved it, and then I never watched it again.
But
It
you
doesn't
want
linger.
to watch it again. No, that
like
movie
sometimes
lingers
I'll
'cause-
wake up and I'm like, man, maybe I should watch The Shining tonight because something about that movie.
Yeah,
There's
but
something about that
here's
movie
what's
I
funny
can't
about The
quite put my
Prestige.
finger on it. I should watch that again. Jack Nicholson's
You
so
really
good.
watched The Prestige
It's almost
and
like-
didn't want to watch it again? Don't you feel like you want to watch The Prestige again?
It's almost like when you watch a Kubrick
Really, that
film.
movie I thought was
I've watched
went
it
in
like
so many weird
I've watched
directions.
it like 20 times. Like I've seen it a lot.
Fucking Jesus!
But it's been out for like 10 years.
You just okay.
I'm just saying that when I watched it,
The
I didn't
Shining's
have
been out
this.
for 37
I didn't
years.
have this immediate feeling like I missed something and I have to watch it again. And that's
But you watched
something
it
that
20
I like.
times.
No, but
How many
I mean,
times have you seen The Shining?
I own Prestige. Like
Do you own The Shining?
yes.
How many times have you seen that?
I've watched it like 100 times.
Okay, so you've watched them both a lot, and one's been out
What's
for 37 years, and one's been out
But
for
like
fucking.
I didn't like The Shining is such a crazy movie. Like you're watching it,
I
and
love
there's
The
like
Shining.
so many like odd things, just like
Totally.
out of
The thing about The
place, like,
Shining, you can watch it,
continuity.
and it's almost like you watched it the first time.
yeah,
every
like
time. It's good.
they
Absolutely.
And
made
here's
a
the thing about
documentary
Kubrick.
about The
I
Shining,
know, and
how
they remade The
crazy
Shining
it is.
because Stephen King didn't like the original.
Because it has like it's such a departure from
the book, because that's what he
apparently.
did. He reinterpreted books and changed shit up to what he wanted to do.
But I love
Which
that.
is
That's the
cool.
thing. That's
Which
the
is
thing
cool.
about
And,
Kubrick.
Dude, there's so
You-
many horror films that literally base their
You can-
basis is on the.
Yeah.
The
I'm just
Shining.
saying Christopher Nolan took it to another level and mastered every angle of movies, and I feel like Stanley Kubrick couldn't be bothered
No.
to do that.
Christopher
yes,
Nolan
that is what
took-
it is. You just all
You're
basically
saying
said
Kubrick
that.
is a lazy director.
No, I didn't.
No, I'm saying he couldn't be bothered because
Christopher
he didn't
Nolan
care.
took what
Nolan's
Christopher
like,
Nolan
I
took
care
what he
about
know.
the viewer. I'm not gonna just be like this fucking snobby director. No, let me get this whole sentence
I feel
out.
like
Let me
Kubrick
get this
cares
out.
more than most directors.
No, not true. Because
It
he's
is
being
true.
snobby about it. He's being elitist about it. He's like, it's for the art crowd. It's for the people who want to come in and do that. No, Nolan's like, I don't care if your IQ is 150 or 100 or 90. Like I'm gonna make a film that communicates to you. I'm not gonna dumb it down. I'm going to make psychologically deep films. I'm gonna make you start thinking, because you can't hit people at a high level and expect to actually get everybody up there with you. That's a snobby way of doing it. Christopher Nolan's like, I'm gonna hit you at every level, including the guys down here, and make you elevate your thinking. I think that's fucking cool, and that's way better. I'd rather hang out with a dude that gives a shit about you than a guy that's like, nah, if you're not on my level, fuck you. And that's Kubrick. That is the best
so not
fucking explanation anybody's ever given about why fucking Christopher Nolan is better than Kubrick.
You're just
Peace out,
upset.
bitches!
So that's a great explanation about Christopher Nolan. I'll give you that. But that definitely Kubrick is not like that. If he's allowing you to answer questions, even going back to like 2001 Space Odyssey, I still can create questions. I still can redevelop the film in my head and have all these. And that's awesome. You don't get that from Christopher Nolan.
You do.
You do not.
You absolutely
the
do.
The one film that
Go watch Inception and try to. That ending changes every time.
I
based
watched
off what
it
you-
once.
No,
I know you. I said rewatch
Yeah.
it. You said you did, and you
I
watched,
watched
it once.
it
As a
once.
goddamn oxymoron.
I've watched Inception
Yeah.
many, many, many times
You
because I love
don't.
that movie. It's a fantastic film, but like I don't.
There's levels to that movie.
You don't. There are levels to that movie. It's
You
called
know-
Train
you know
Wreck
what's
in the
great?
All
Rain.
those levels hit me the first time through.
And you know what?
And
you know
with
what's
the
great?
Kubrick
Because that's a
film,
masterful
every time I
director.
rewatch, I'm picking up.
Because
new
that's how
things.
badly it's done. You have to rewatch it
guy
to get
is
the
just-
shit. Like
No.
if you
That's
do your job
that's how
right.
masterful of a director is because he did it with all of his films.
He makes
that's
you
the
want
thing
to
you're missing.
rewatch it
It's
to
like
answer more
2001.
I'm gonna go to a restaurant and I'm ordering the
Orange.
same thing again, and
No,
the
but-
chef gives me a different dish every time. I'm like, you motherfucker! And he's like, it'll be
No,
better next
but
time.
I am-
It'll
but
be
I-
better the time after
No.
that. I'll add more spices. I swear.
No, but I am
like,
going to go
fuck.
to a restaurant and say, oh, that plate was good. I'm going back and I'm going to try this plate.
But like
That's
even
a different plate. That's a different movie.
But like you
Exactly,
think
but I want to
Christopher-
try that plate because this plate was so good because I keep tasting it on Tuesday,
Yeah, but every
Wednesday,
time
Thursday,
you-
Friday.
it's different every
because
time.
it's still tasting. Christopher Nolan's like, you taste it on Monday, you walk out the restaurant, it's done.
Yeah, it's
Stanley
like Christopher
Kubrick,
Nolan is like the
man,
same
I still have
cheeseburger
that
every time
flavor.
with no change.
Still got
That's
that
a lot of
flavor
food
in-
analogies.
Yeah, this
You
is.
started the food
Welcome
analogy.
to get to the podcast where we talk about food.
But wait, would Christopher Nolan ever make a film like Eyes Wide Shut? Ever?
I feel like he might eventually
Really?
get in that route. No, when he gets basically like, okay,
I
I'm
feel like
trying-
nothing that he's made so far has indicated that he's willing to tackle a subject like
I
that.
agree, and Stanley Kubrick did it until the end of his life, and he died before the film was even completed.
I
so
know.
I
Like,
don't
look how
know.
crazy it is. That was
By
like
the
his
way, I want to
dying
answer.
creation.
I want to answer something that he brought up earlier. He was talking about Christopher Nolan, and he was talking about Stanley Kubrick, how he's like a spoiled and he doesn't like give snobbish. Yeah, he's
Elitist.
He's
Elitist.
not
He
snobbish
is.
at all.
Dude, he duped the American public or the world and faked the moon landing.
That is awesome.
That's fucked up.
That is awesome.
That's as elitist as you can get. He's working for
elitist as
Uncle
you can
Sam and the, that's what I'm saying.
That is awesome. But anyways, Christopher Nolan
He's owned by the World Bank.
took elements.
Wait, did you guys see
No.
that what do they call
but
it?
let me
The
finish it. Let me
mockumentary
get-
about the moon
I
landing
watched it.
thing?
Let me
That
finish
was
this.
really good.
Christopher Nolan took elements of Stanley Kubrick to make his films. Mm-hmm. So I don't think without Stanley Kubrick, Christopher Nolan will be where he's at.
Cool. So here's what I say. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You have no, you have no way of telling
Did
that
you hear
whatsoever.
what I said? I think.
Oh, I heard the words.
I
I heard the words.
think because there's no way because the elements that Stanley Kubrick had and Christopher Nolan used for his film made it what it was.
It's such a hypothetical. You have no way of knowing. Let's say you took Kubrick
Well, I don't know.
off of
So many people were equating Interstellar to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Why? But why?
Why?
Why
he
would they
used
do that?
elements
and
of
I get
it.
that.
And wait, Nick,
I'm not
answer
saying
the
I'm
question.
I'm going to answer. I don't think that we know. I can't even try to defend my argument and be like, oh no, he absolutely would have, because I don't know either. But you fucking also don't know. You have zero idea.
You just said in the beginning that Christopher Nolan would have been just as
No.
big without Stanley Kubrick.
Can I talk? Can I talk?
I think he just raised his hand.
Can I talk? Here's what I'm saying is maybe he would have made different films that were just as fantastic, but maybe he wouldn't have made Interstellar. He would have made something else.
That's still a speculation. So that's that.
Erroneous on both counts.
So as we sit here and speculate, both of us.
Wait, well, let me ask the question. Do you even like Stanley Kubrick
I
as
love
a director?
Stanley Kubrick. I
Do you
actually
like
think
his films?
I love his films. I love how they make you think. I love all that, and it has its time
Oh,
and
then
its
we're good.
place.
So he's the better director.
No, it's not who's better. I think it has its time and its place, but I think Christopher Nolan's films have a time and a place more often, or have more times when they're appropriate. I want to watch them more. I think the general public, I think deep thinkers want to watch them more. I really do believe that you would rather watch a Christopher Nolan film than watch a Stanley Kubrick film. I think you guys even agree. There are I will watch The Dark Knight more than I would watch fucking Full Metal Jacket. I'd watch.
But wait, question. So 100 years
And they
from
both
now,
have
here's
these really great
here's a
characters in them.
hypothetical. 100 years from now, if mankind survives, like, are people going to look back on Stanley Kubrick's catalog of films, or are they going to look back on Christopher Nolan's catalog of films and go, which one was the better director? Because I tell you right now, 100 years from now, people are still going to be referring to 2001. They're still going to refer to The Shining. They're still going to refer to Full Metal Jacket and Clockwork Orange.
And there's going to be a new Batman.
And they're gonna be on Batman remake number 17 or some shit.
Just because he did 3 Batman films,
Beyond.
don't think he's
saying.
pigeonholed into the Batman. No, that's something that people could do where they're just like these one-off directors.
No, Batman-
He shaped the DC universe. He reshaped.
He did.
He took
He
a
did.
dead franchise and revived
But answer
it.
the question.
But beyond
100
that,
years
I
from
think-
now,
I
are
think
people
they're
gonna look
at
back?
Christopher Nolan? No, I think because he's gonna have 20. He's gonna have 20 other films. He's gonna have 25 other films under his belt that are gonna be fantastic, and they're gonna look at the consistency of this guy. They're gonna be like, that is an ungodly consistency for one director. They're gonna look at Stanley Kubrick's handful of
but
films.
that's
They're
why-
we're like, that sparked a lot. But
All
this
I
guy
know-
took it to the next level.
All I
Yeah.
know is when I went to school for this, Stanley Kubrick was in the books.
Yes!
Not Christopher Nolan.
When did you go to school? Fucking
we don't
87,
have to
you
talk
old
about
man. Yeah, no, but seriously, when
87?
I'm
What the
just,
fuck?
I'm kidding. You're not
Dude
that old.
took it back like
No, you're only like 4 years
Yeah,
older
you
than me.
had Dino like beside you.
Yeah, exactly. No, but yes, Kubrick's in the books absolutely because he helped. He was like the inception of this. I get that totally, and I'm not shitting on that. I'm just saying I would rather watch a Christopher Nolan film than a Stanley Kubrick film, and that alone.
We're not talking
should-
about what our personal preferences are. We're talking about like,
Actually, we kind of are a little bit.
yeah, but that should take a back seat.
that's
to the
always-
argument.
look,
then
that's
let's get rid
always
of
what
preferences for a second.
I'm just
that's-
saying though,
that's
but
not-
like Stanley Kubrick
Who
made
executes
like
every part of a film better? That's what I want to ask. Not storyteller.
No, that's a hard question
Because you
because
try to do this M. Night Shyamalan Hitchcock fucking argument with me at one point, and I'm like, no, he's a good storyteller, but he's not a great director. M. Night Shyamalan's not a great director, but this is the same thing. Let's go Kubrick, Nolan, who does every part of a film better, not just who could fuck with your head and make you think deeper. That's not the question. The
But
question
it's not
who's the better
about
director.
who does something better. The question
That is
is
who's better?
No, but it's
the better
it's
director?
the
That's the
films
exact
that they made and whether or not they're going to endure. Like, to me, like, the test of a great film is, does it
Endure.
does the audience, does it still communicate to the audience
actually
no
also
matter
say-
what time it is?
that
Is it
actually
timeless?
Do you think they are timeless?
Like Citizen Kane.
Do you-
Citizen Kane was made like 1 million years ago, yet people still watch it today, and they go and it relates
I
and it
have a
communicates.
bone to pick with Citizen Kane, to be honest.
All right.
All right, we'll do that different.
No,
podcast.
that's a
There
different
we go.
podcast.
So, okay, here
it's
we
a
go.
good
Here-
film, but it isn't. Again, that's one that people say is the greatest film of all time, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're
So
talking about.
here we go. So we're gonna
It's
end it.
not.
We're gonna end
No.
it with this. We're gonna end with this.
Wait, I thought 2001 was the greatest
So-
film.
No,
No,
those
no.
are two one. Those are actually two films that are constantly
This guy.
noticed. No, it's funny that you
This
brought that
guy.
up because those are the two films that are constantly thrown in the top.
So we're gonna
fucking
drop the 2 minute.
number one list.
I need just,
2 minute. Go ahead.
I just need 10 seconds to finish. But I'm gonna give
Wow,
Nick
that's
2
that's,
minutes.
sharing a little too much
and you-
information there.
and Neil 2 minutes to state your point. State your case. Actually, I'm gonna do a minute. Just because we're running out of time.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do a minute. So Nick, you got a minute, and then let him, Neil, let him speak.
I
or else
don't.
it's
I
gonna be
haven't
like
even.
5
All right,
minutes.
good. All right, let's go.
I've
Just
never
let-
cut this.
Don't cut
Wait,
him
just wanna
off.
wait
You
for
know
you.
what
You
happens.
want to cut me off now, right?
You know what happens. Bite your teeth. I don't know.
Bite the inside of your cheek.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
That's what I
right. So
do.
1 minute for Nick, 1 minute for Neil, and 10 seconds for me.
Okay. All right. So when you say timeless, right? Christopher Nolan's films are timeless, and to the point where you can watch a Stanley Kubrick film and go, "This looks a little dated." All right. Christopher Nolan's films will never look dated. They actually won't. They won't. Memento, maybe Memento. Right? But these other films, you watch Inception, that movie will hold up. Every level of that film will hold up in 100 years, 150 years. That movie is going to look fantastic still. Okay? Now I get it because Kubrick was working in an earlier time period where film wasn't as advanced, etc. I get that. Nolan gives you a complete meal. Okay? I'm using this food analogy again because it does. You feel satisfied. When you say you don't want to feel satisfied after film, I feel like you're a bit of a masochist. That makes no sense. If I go to a movie, I want it to hit me on every level. I want to think. I want to be entertained. I want to not be distracted by certain technical inefficiencies. And I want to feel at the end like, wow, that movie delivered. And I feel great. Stanley Kubrick does make great films. They make you think. But they also don't deliver on every aspect of it because that wasn't important enough for him. He was a bit elitist. He was a bit snobbish in the way he did it, where he just wanted to be like, if you're not on my level, fuck you. Christopher Nolan goes, I want something for everybody. And I feel like that's a more humanitarian way of going about it. Like, I think he's a better person. I think he's a better person, not just a better director.
He loves you.
Is that 60 seconds?
That is 60 seconds.
Okay.
That was very well done. All right, Neil,
Oh my god.
make it happen. And you know what? I might use a little bit more than 10 seconds. Just
Yeah, because I just brought it and you're like, shit.
No, I didn't. I still have a statement that was
Okay.
It doesn't settle it, but it states my point. Okay, but go ahead.
I mean, you know, the reason I brought up Timeless is not because, you know, whatever. Like, it is because those films that Stanley Kubrick made, people still talk about today. And it's not because, you know, he was like the first to do it or something like that. Like, he didn't make a lot of films. He based a lot of his films off of books. They weren't his original stories, but he took a concept and he communicated it on film, and it continues to make the audience go like, you know, like, what did I just see? Like, what, you know, what was he trying to communicate? What was he trying to say to me? It's almost like he's like the monk in the temple at the top of the mountain who like says some crazy shit to you, and you're trying to like reach a higher level of consciousness, and he just says some shit and you're like, what does that mean? And then you spend the rest of your life trying to figure it out. And finally you understand what Stanley Kubrick was trying to say to you. And then you're like on the next level or whatever. You know, that's kind of like what he was trying to do. It wasn't elitist. It wasn't like, I know something you don't know. It was like, here's like a breadcrumb, like follow the trail of breadcrumbs to, you know, so that you can meet me at my level. And like, it's not elitist. Like, elitist people don't do that. They don't ever want you to come up to where they are. Mm-hmm. Stanley Kubrick is trying to get the audience and raise their ability to, like, you know, look at a film or look at a concept or look at life from a different point of view. You know, not look at life like from every question is answered. The good guy always wins. Bad guys always lose. You know, everything is wonderful all the time. Like, most films make you feel that way. And to be honest, it's like, it's not true. That's not how life is, you know? There's ups and downs, and Stanley Kubrick is like, you know, unfortunately he focused more on the downs, but
Right.
but he did it in such a way that makes you like, you know, question reality, you know, question the way you've been operating your whole life. Like, and to me, that's a sign of a great storyteller. And whether or not, you know, technically he holds up to Nolan, I honestly think people are going to look back 100 years from now and look at Kubrick's films, and they're probably going to go, oh, look at all these directors that were inspired by Kubrick, and they're going to note someone like Christopher Nolan, who makes fantastic films. I love all of Christopher Nolan's films. But that's what makes him so interesting and so timeless. And, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
That was actually a very good.
Yeah, that was very good.
That was very good.
Two things real quick. I'm not even getting into the whole
This
thing, but
guy,
just like those breadcrumb thing you said, I feel like Christopher Nolan makes easier to track breadcrumbs, and Stanley Kubrick does spread out breadcrumbs that lead you into a tree. Like I feel like
Was there a rebuttal called?
No, I'm just saying. I just gotta put
Somebody
this out
said
in real quick.
Help himself.
He can't help
himself.
He can't.
I just have to say, and I've also never been about gurus. I don't like the idea of a guru. I don't like the idea that he's at some higher level.
Yeah,
than me,
but that's
that
the
I need to
thing.
get to his
Gurus
level. I don't
exist.
like
You just
that.
become an elitist.
No,
you
but
just like
no, but
became
I don't
an
want to be
elitist.
some guy who
Who's
looks
the
to somebody
elitist?
else. I don't
the
want to come.
elitist?
No, I don't want to come. You know, I don't want to like be like, oh, I need to get to Stanley Kubrick's level. I feel like that's very arrogant. I don't agree with that.
Let's
All right, so-
well, can I just say one more
Okay,
thing?
then you get a rebuttal, and then we're done.
Yeah.
I won't rebut what you rebut.
Here's my rebuttal.
Let's get off the butts.
Let's ask
I
ask
just got
this
off
question.
yours. Wait a minute.
What is the purpose of a film? Like, why do films exist?
Basic purpose is entertainment.
Well, not really.
Yes.
It's storytelling. It's not necessarily entertainment.
That's what entertainment.
You had books. First, you had like, you know, two people talking, and that was storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had paper. They wrote stories on pieces of paper. People read it. They got a conceptual idea in their mind, and they were entertained, and they were like inspired, and they were all these wonderful things. And then film came along. Film exists to communicate something, to communicate an idea. And what I try to get, you know, the reason I love film so much is because there's a film that I run into, that I watch, that like impinges on my life, and it's not fluff. It's not like, you know, I don't know,
Right.
name a fluff thing. It's
Damn,
not like
Neil,
I just
you got
watched the
me over
Power
here
Rangers
crying and
movie. You know
stuff.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
love
not
you,
like
Neil.
it's not like a summer blockbuster. It's a film that went, oh my god, like I've never looked at life that way before.
Right.
Because life, you know, we're living life.
Right.
It's real. It's not all Hollywood fluff. Like, why not make a film that makes you question everything that you know, believe to be true? Why not make a film like that? To me, that's a sign of a great filmmaker.
Right. And I think entertainment is the first and foremost job of a movie. And I feel like if it could do that and make you think and feel and question things at the same time, that's a perfect movie. And I think Christopher Nolan has come closer to that than Stanley
See,
Kubrick.
what's interesting is
It's
earlier you listed all these things that you want from a film, and the first thing you
Can
said
I
was to
play?
think, and the second thing you said was
Can
to
I
be
play,
entertained.
guys?
That's just what I said.
Yeah,
It
can I
doesn't-
play?
There's no
Can I
order
play?
there.
Don't Stanley
Okay.
Kubrick me, okay?
I-
Don't like try to make
Can
me
I
question
play?
my reality.
All right, I feel like
Can I
we've
play?
talked enough.
Can I play, motherfuckers?
Okay, go Diego.
So, Stanley Kubrick has already proven himself and standing the test of time. He has. Christopher Nolan, I think he will. Stanley Kubrick, I will say this again, and I don't care if you agree or not, I think that book that I read that has Stanley Kubrick in it, I think Christopher Nolan read that also.
Okay.
And because of that, he became someone that has the possibility to surpass what Stanley Kubrick has done.
Right.
Because of what Stanley Kubrick has done.
Right.
So the ability is there. I think Christopher Nolan is a great director. I think Stanley Kubrick is a great director. I think they write two different. They're almost the same, but they're very far apart. Where Christopher Nolan allows you to answer questions throughout the film, and Stanley Kubrick allows you to answer questions. You walk out of the theater with Stanley Kubrick, you're like, wait, did that really happen? That doesn't make any sense. And like you use meal analogy, you're coming out, you eat a burger on Monday, and Tuesday you're like, was that burger that good? Wait, what was in that burger? What was that feta? Was that what was going on with that?
They changed up
when
the
you
burger.
walk when you
Yeah, and
when
then-
you walk
and
out
then
with
you got-
Chris, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah, go.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Like, yeah.
When you eat,
I feel like you
hey, Chris,
surpassed 60 seconds.
when I just started. What the fuck?
Did we? I don't know how long I was talking
Yeah,
for. I feel like it was much
You're
longer.
doing a
than
good
60
job,
seconds.
Diego. Keep
First of
going.
all, rebuttals and I have to go
Okay.
through all that with
You're
y'all
good. You're
shit.
good. You're good. I have a
So-
million things to say. Go ahead.
And then Christopher Nolan gives you a burger on Monday, and you're like, wow, that burger was good. Tuesday you say I might want to eat that burger again, because it was good. But you're right. You're fulfilled with that burger. Mm-hmm. But with Stanley Kubrick, you're questioning what was in that burger. What I either want to try to make this burger, or I want to try something. I need to figure this out. So that's the two different ways that they are. Two ways that they're different.
Right.
So it's to me, it's not a question of who's better.
Right.
To me, it's a question of who can keep growing. And obviously, Christopher Nolan, with the help of Stanley Cooper, he can surpass what Stanley Cooper did because he had that knowledge from Stanley Cooper. He
Kubrick.
It pushed Kubrick. I'm sorry, Kubrick.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
It's kind of like Kubrick had to learn all that and put that together.
Yeah.
And then Christopher Nolan took that. He was already up there, and then he's taking that to a whole new level. You're right on that.
Right, but not everybody can take it to a whole new level. And if you can, then if you become the master, if you surpass them, then you are better than them. By definition, semantically, what you just said is that he is better or is going to be better or whatever you're saying. But
he said he has that
here's the thing.
what I'm saying is this.
Luke Skywalker beat
Oh,
Darth
I'm
Vader.
so glad you brought that up.
Darth Vader beat
I had
the Emperor.
Star Wars in my head.
No, I hope you say what I think you're going to say.
If I don't give you the saber, you won't be able to step up to the next level.
Doesn't matter,
that's what
because
Stanley Kubrick did. He gave him the saber
to get to the next level?
To get to the next level.
So he's
But
better. So he's better by definition. By definition, you've literally just given me the win.
Stanley Kubrick, he wouldn't be.
Doesn't matter how he did
have
it.
a saber.
Doesn't
That's
matter
my
how
point.
he did it. Doesn't matter
That's
how he
my
did
point.
it. I get it. A sword can't be made without another sword. You can't make the handle. Can't hold the blade without the handle.
No, I
and the handle
simplified
is
it. That's
made
it.
by
Without
another
Stanley
sword.
Kubrick saying,
I get
it's
it.
your
Kubrick
saber.
is the master, and Christopher Nolan is the apprentice.
But what you're saying is he got to the next
say-
level to surpass Kubrick, which means he's better, and that's the only question.
No, I'm not saying he's there. I'm saying he has the ability.
The potential. I will say what's interesting is what you were saying, Thiago. It's almost like Kubrick's films leave you in the middle of the journey of the story, and Christopher Nolan's films, you're like at the end of the journey. Like when you finish a Christopher Nolan film, you feel like complete, and it's the end of the journey. But like Kubrick leaves you in the middle. Like he leaves you at a point where it's not complete. It's like
Is that feta in
I
that
don't want
burger?
that.
and I know
it's
clearly
not
you don't
about
want
you,
it.
though.
But
No, but you
you're
guys have
right. It's
never
the
figured out
reason
his
it's
films either.
timeless.
You never answer the questions.
No, but that's the thing. You do answer it for
But I
yourself.
still
Have you-
question
your
them.
own
Have you
answer.
answered
still
all the
question.
questions for yourself?
I still question them.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
still go
things
back
that
and think,
I-
what
you
did
know.
that scene mean? What was?
See,
that
he's
whole
still
scene?
doing it. Fucking, this guy's
It's-
82
but
years old.
That's
He's
what I
still
love
doing
about it. That's what I love about Kubrick's film is that I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking, oh my gosh, what was he trying
And I
to
love
say?
that. I do love that about his films. I'm just saying that, okay, if Christopher...
Christopher
this
Nolan's
is a question,
like, oh,
and I think
it's Bruce Wayne.
I think we'll answer this in different ways. Yes, there are things about Nolan films that I don't love. There are certain things that happen that I don't love. Same thing with Kubrick. So I'm not saying either one is a perfect director because I don't think there's any such thing.
Sure, making Christopher
But what
Nolan sound
No,
like
no,
it.
he's not. But also, I guess the question would be, and I know we're each going to answer this a different way. If Christopher Nolan were going to stop making films right now, who would have the better catalog? And I think you guys would say Kubrick, and I would say Nolan. That's what I would say. And I do like Kubrick's films a lot. I think they're fantastic. I just, in terms of being rewatchable, which I think would make it better, you know what I mean? Like I can go, oh, wow, I ate another food analogy. This dish is exotic and amazing, and it hit fucking parts of my palate that I never knew existed, and I'm tasting flavors I've never had before, but I'm good. I don't need to eat that again. Whereas I eat another thing, and I'm like, this is a fantastic fucking dish. I'm going to order this every day.
So you're saying that Christopher Nolan is like Christopher Nolan's the
No.
California rolls, and
Yeah,
Kubrick is the
I
octopus.
I
is
don't
what you're
order.
saying.
I don't order California rolls. I order the fucking octopus. So I think Christopher Nolan's the octopus.
That's not what you just
No, that
said.
was such no.
That's the opposite
Stanley
of what you just
Kubrick,
said.
didn't say
when
that.
I eat Stanley,
I didn't say which one was which.
Look.
You fucking just try to interpret it for
here's
me.
the
You said
burger
it was
choice.
exotic and crazy.
Don't
and you
Christopher
just
Nolan my sentences.
Here's the burger choice. You have a Christopher Nolan burger and you have a Stanley Kubrick
Oh my God,
burger.
these food analogies
Here's
are
the
just
thing.
getting out
I'm
of
getting
control.
hungry. I'm
know.
getting hungry.
Here's the thing. When you eat a Christopher Nolan burger, you're full. Like I said, oh, that was great. I want to eat that burger again. You're so correct.
Yeah.
When you eat a Stanley Kubrick burger and you are Christopher Nolan, you say, ooh, I want to learn how to make this burger because that's how good that shit is.
I don't want to go in the back of the kitchen and make my own burger. I'm paying for a full.
That's what Christopher Nolan did. He made his own burger.
I'm gonna apologize to the audience, and I blame Nick for starting the food analogy.
Because I'm lost. I'm just
Did Christopher Nolan make his own burger?
With all these food analogies.
Answer the questions. Did Christopher Nolan make his own burger by eating Stanley Kubrick's burger?
I don't know Nolan's
What
kitchen habits.
restaurant
Okay?
is Christopher Nolan making his burgers in, and what
my
restaurant
God.
is Kubrick making them in? Because I'll tell you right now, Kubrick's restaurant's much better.
Kubrick's gonna poison you.
That's a 5-star
He's gonna
restaurant.
poison you.
Nolan is a 3-star restaurant.
He's gonna lace it with acid, and Nolan's gonna fucking give you shit you never tasted. That
Nolan's restaurant's got
Stanley
cockroaches
Kubrick-
running around on the ground, man.
Fucking
It's-
bull-
Stanley Kubrick. My analogy is this: Stanley Kubrick put a taste in Christopher Nolan's mouth that made Christopher Nolan want to say, "I want to learn how to make this."
Okay.
Badoosh.
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 It's badoosh.
Okay.
All right.
Badoosh.
All right. After all that, we're gonna probably keep arguing for another 30 minutes. But
I
we're gonna
think if you would go back and listen to this podcast, you will say that you'll notice that you guys use semantics that basically said that Nolan is better than.
I never did that.
All right, cool. All done. All
No,
done.
don't
All right,
set
wrap
a
up
statement
the
to give
episode.
people.
And that's a wrap.
This guy's trying to set up standards so people go back. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no.
And that's a wrap.
All right.
All right.
We thank you guys for coming and listening to us. Check us out on our social media. Let us know which one do you like best, Christopher Nolan or Stanley Kubrick. Watch some of their films. Get some questions in your head. Get some answers in your head. Doesn't matter who you love. Just watch the films. Get to know it and see what comes up and let us know how you feel. Let us know if Nick was right, if Neil was right, if I was right, or if me and Neil was right and Nick was totally fucking wrong. Or whatever, which way you think.
I regret giving you hosting.
Whichever way.
Neither of
anything-
us are right or wrong.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's a love of the film of entertainment.
Yeah.
So we thank you guys for coming. Thank you for listening to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Diego de Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Boom, 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 boom.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.